It's 6 in the morning. You wake up and reach for it before you reach for your phone. Coffee? It might be your favorite thing. It's the most consumed beverage in America after water, and one of the most chemically contaminated crops on the planet. Here's what your favorite brands on the grocery store shelf aren't telling you. Coffee plants absorb pesticides so efficiently that traces show up in the cup after roasting. The roasting process itself creates acrylamide, a human carcinogen, and over 90% of commercial green coffee beans arrive at the roaster already carrying mold that produces mycotoxins linked to kidney damage and cancer. 3 separate threats. One morning ritual. I went through every major coffee brand Americans are buying. 10 are betraying your morning. 4 are actually worth brewing. The brand that shocked me most is probably in your kitchen right now. And subscribe. Let's grind through the villains. Starbucks controls roughly 48% of the U.S. coffee market. The grocery bag with the green mermaid, the Starbucks via instant packets, the Seattle's Best bag next to it, it's all from the same corporation. Starbucks acquired Seattle's Best in 2003. Same sourcing, same testing standards, same results. That's the smoke. Here's the mirror. Starbucks does not certify its core grocery lineup as organic. The beans have been grown on conventional farms using pesticides the brand has never disclosed, tested for mycotoxins in ways it has never made public. When California courts pushed Starbucks to add acrylamide warning labels because California law requires disclosures for known carcinogens, Starbucks fought it in court. A judge ruled the warning was required. The case was eventually dismissed, and the warning never made it onto the label. The via instant packets are where it gets specific. Independent testing found instant coffee formats contain significantly more acrylamide than bagged ground coffee, because the instant process adds another round of heat exposure on top of the roast. You reached for Starbucks to feel like you were getting something premium and beloved by millions. The format you chose carries the worst acrylamide load in the category. Seattle's Best is the same operation with less prestige on the label. The Green Mermaid may be a beautiful logo. What she's hiding isn't. Coffee tip number 1. Switch your format before you switch your brand. If Starbucks is your morning ritual, and switching feels impossible right now, just swap the via instant packets for the bagged ground before you do anything else. Instant coffee tests roughly twice as high for acrylamide as brewed ground coffee. Medium roasts test higher than dark or light. Same brand, same store. That one change costs nothing and cuts your acrylamide exposure in half before you've changed a single brand.
The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
The best part of waking up has been a marketing tagline since 1984. Folgers is in more American cabinets than any other coffee brand, built not on quality, but on 4 decades of advertising that made a mediocre product feel like a cultural institution. That's the smoke. Here's the mirror. Folgers offers over 20 coffee varieties. Not one is organic. The pesticide most associated with conventional coffee farming is glyphosate, the herbicide the World Health Organization classifies as a probable human carcinogen, the same chemical at the center of billions of dollars in cancer litigation against Monsanto. When glyphosate breaks down in soil and plants, it leaves behind a compound called AMPA that persists even longer and carries similar cancer-linked properties. The Clean Label Project tested 57 top-selling coffee brands and found AMPA in 72% of samples. Folgers has never published a single test result showing their product is free of it. 20 product varieties? 40 years? Not once? 1 cup of Folgers at your parents' house isn't the problem. 30 years of it every morning is. If you're ready to make a change, the brands at the end of this video cost a negligible amount more and test clean. Maxwell House was born in 1892. Theodore Roosevelt reportedly called it good to the last drop. That tagline has been on the can for over a century, doing the work the coffee stopped doing a long time ago. That's the smoke. Here's the mirror. Maxwell House mixes beans differently every season to hit a consistent flavor. Whatever Arabica and Robusta blend is cheapest on the commodity market that month, roasted to taste like a memory of something better. Open a can of Maxwell House Instant, and the chemistry announces itself before you've done anything. That sharp chemical edge in the aroma is the spray drying process baked into the product. No mycotoxin testing published. No sourcing transparency. Kraft Heinz owns Maxwell House and has rejected every meaningful sustainability certification available to it. Theodore Roosevelt's endorsement was real. The coffee that earned it no longer exists. Coffee tip number 2. Two words on any coffee bag that predict quality before you read anything else: single origin and high altitude. Single origin means the beans came from one traceable place, not a mystery commodity blend from wherever was cheapest that month. High altitude means cooler growing conditions where mold pressure is dramatically lower and mycotoxin risk drops before a single test is run. Next time you're in the coffee aisle, find those two phrases on the label. If they're not there, the brand has something to hide about where the beans came from. There are 40 million Keurig machines in American homes. You bought one because the morning is already hard enough, and 60 seconds for a cup of joe is about as American as it gets. That's the smoke. Here's the mirror. Every K-cup pushes water heated to nearly 200 degrees through a plastic pod under pressure. The Clean Label Project found phthalates, chemicals linked to lower testosterone in men, reproductive disruption, and developmental problems in children, at higher levels in pod coffee than in any other brewing format. Green Mountain has never published a response to that finding. In 2024, the SEC charged Green Mountain, Keurig's parent company, with misleading customers about the recyclability of K-cups. Independent analysis found that less than 2% of K-cups are actually recycled in the United States. That's 9.8 billion pods going to landfills every year. From a product marketed as eco-friendly to the exact consumers who cared most about not contributing to landfills. The convenience was real. The Keurig machine itself isn't the enemy, it's the pod. A reusable K-cup filter filled with ground coffee from a brand we recommend eliminates the plastic exposure and the landfill problem simultaneously. Keep the machine, change what goes in it. Nespresso positioned itself as the sophisticated European answer to Keurig. Aluminum pods, celebrity endorsements, the implied promise that someone with taste made decisions about what went in the capsule. That's the smoke. Here's the mirror. Nespresso is definitely a superior coffee to a K-cup, but in 2020, independent investigations revealed children were working on several of Nespresso's supplier farms in Guatemala. Nespresso's response was to tighten supplier audits. Whether those audits changed anything is a question independent investigators continue to ask. The recyclability claim is the other problem. Nespresso markets aluminum pods as recyclable. In practice, only 29% of Nespresso pods are actually recycled. The other 71% go to landfills. The eco-friendly positioning is doing the work of a sustainability program without the results of one. Nespresso is a genuinely better cup of coffee than a K-cup. The supply chain behind it is not better. If you love your Nespresso machine, third-party aluminum pods from brands like Café Royale use the same format without Nespresso's supply chain record. The machine stays. The accountability improves. Coffee tip number 3, ditch the pod. Use a paper filter. A paper filter in any drip machine removes calfestol, a compound in unfiltered coffee linked to higher LDL cholesterol, and eliminates plastic or aluminum exposure entirely. A pour-over setup costs $15. A bag of coffee from our Clean Picks costs $28. The math beats a pod machine on price within a month and beats it on chemistry immediately. Better coffee, better equipment, the same 2 minutes. The orange and pink Dunkin bag at your grocery store feels like a different category than the orange Folgers can next to it. Different vibe, different loyalty, different price point. That's the smoke. Here's the mirror. The grocery store Dunkin coffee is produced by J.M. Smucker, the same corporation behind Folgers and Café Bustelo. The bag looks like Dunkin. The sourcing decisions, the quality standards, and the complete absence of organic certification look exactly like Folgers. Dunkin claims Rainforest Alliance certification on 30% of its dark roast, which sounds meaningful until you realize Rainforest Alliance covers environmental and social criteria, not pesticide residue or mycotoxin testing. The other 70% of the Dunkin grocery lineup carries no certification of any kind. You switched from Folgers because Dunkin felt like an upgrade. J.M. Smucker is cashing both checks. Dunkin at the drive-thru is a different product than Dunkin's bagged grounds. The restaurant coffee is freshly brewed and doesn't carry the same storage concerns as a pre-ground bag on a shelf. Keep the drive-thru, skip the bagged version. Nescafé is the best-selling instant coffee brand on earth. The red mug, the 2-second convenience, hundreds of millions of morning routines built around a teaspoon of powder. That's the smoke. Here's the mirror. Creating instant coffee requires processing at temperatures that generate acrylamide at roughly twice the rate of ground coffee roasting alone. Nescafé is the largest instant coffee brand in the world and has never published a single acrylamide test result for any product in its lineup. Owned by Nestlé, the same parent company as Nespresso, the margin on instant coffee is extraordinary. 2 seconds from powder to a cup of coffee, yet we all believe that to be a natural phenomenon. The acrylamide produced has been accumulating in your body with every cup you consume. If instant is genuinely the only format that works, Waka Coffee makes a specialty-grade instant from 100% Arabica beans with significantly cleaner sourcing than Nescafé. Same convenience, different standard. The yellow and red can is familiar, and the jolt is unforgettable. Caffè Bustelo is the king of affordable Latin-style espresso. Strong, cheap, and it delivers exactly what it promises. That's the smoke. Here's the mirror. What makes it so strong is Robusta beans. And Robusta tests significantly higher for acrylamide A than Arabica. Acrylamide A is a mycotoxin classified as potentially carcinogenic and linked to kidney damage, found more frequently in lower quality beans grown at low altitude in humid conditions. Robusta checks every one of those boxes. The caffeine load is approximately 150 milligrams per 12-ounce cup, significantly above the Arabica standard. For anyone managing blood pressure, heart conditions, or gut issues, that's a daily habit worth reconsidering. Caffè Bustelo sounds like an independent Latin brand, but it's owned by J.M. Smucker. Same company as Folgers and Dunkin. Same corporate industrial product. The strength is real, and if that's what your morning requires, a dark roast 100% Arabica from one of our recommended clean brands delivers comparable intensity without the Robusta mycotoxin profile. We'll show you exactly which one. Coffee tip number 4. If the bag doesn't say Arabica, assume Robusta and act accordingly. Robusta beans grow at lower altitudes in more humid conditions, test higher for both mycotoxins and acrylamide, and are cheaper, which is why they're in every budget coffee on this list. Find the word Arabica on the bag. If it's not there, put it back. Black Rifle Coffee Company was founded in 2014 by former Green Beret Evan Hafer and built its brand on one simple idea: patriotism sells. The tactical packaging, the military-style roast names, the pro-veteran messaging. It worked, turning BRCC into one of the most recognized coffee brands in America. That's the smoke. Here's the mirror. A federal class action lawsuit filed in November 2025 alleges that Black Rifle misleads consumers with its America's Coffee branding and prominent American flag packaging, despite sourcing and processing its beans entirely outside the United States. The flag on the front is not describing where the coffee came from. It's describing a feeling the marketing department wanted you to have. The core product lineup carries no meaningful organic certifications. The same pesticide and mycotoxin concerns that apply to Folgers apply here, with a more expensive price tag and an American flag doing the work that quality standards aren't doing. Since going public in 2022, Black Rifle has been hit with at least 7 lawsuits. As of early 2026, the company received an NYSE delisting warning after its stock fell to 73 cents per share, down over 90% from its peak. The veteran cause is real. The coffee underneath it is not. If you've been buying Black Rifle to support veterans, that intention is worth honoring with a brand that earns it. Purity Coffee donates to veteran causes too, and you'll be surprised where it falls on our worthy coffee list. Death Wish. Coffee isn't hiding what it is. The skull is on the can. The tagline is the world's strongest coffee. The brand built its identity entirely around the idea that maximum caffeine is a virtue. That's the smoke. Here's the mirror. One 12-ounce cup of Death Wish contains between 650 and 728 milligrams of caffeine. The FDA's daily limit for healthy adults is 400 milligrams. One cup puts you at nearly double before you've refilled the mug. For anyone with an undiagnosed heart condition, high blood pressure, or anxiety, that isn't a feature. It's a liability the label never mentions. Death Wish uses a Robusta Arabica blend, the same mycotoxin and acrylamide concerns from the Caffè Bustelo section, at nearly double the caffeine concentration. The skull on the can was supposed to be edgy. It turns out it was the most honest thing about the brand. A double shot of espresso from a clean Arabica brand delivers a significant hit without the Robusta mycotoxin profile and without pushing past the FDA's daily limit before breakfast. The strength is achievable without the skull. Coffee tip number 5. Know your caffeine number before you pour your first cup. The FDA's daily caffeine limit is 400 milligrams. A standard Arabica cup is 95 milligrams. A Death Wish cup is 700 milligrams. If you're also drinking an energy drink, a pre-workout, or an afternoon soda, your heart doesn't know those were separate purchases. Add up what you're already consuming before you reach for the strongest coffee on the shelf. The number matters more than the brand. The coffee worth brewing. 4 brands, each one doing something specific that the villain list consistently refused to do. And yes, good coffee is still one of life's genuine pleasures. The goal here isn't to make you afraid of your morning cup, it's to make sure the cup you're drinking is actually worth the ritual you've built around it. Peet's is the most accessible clean pick on this list, and no doubt you have seen it at every grocery store yet never bought a bag of it. If you drink decaf, this is the brand for you. Their decaf uses the Swiss water process, a chemical-free method that uses water rather than methylene chloride, the chemical solvent in most commercial decaf processing. Methylene chloride is a paint stripper and a probable carcinogen. Peet's made a different call. The Food Network ranked Peet's Major Dickinson's Dark Roast the best decaf available. Not the best clean decaf, the best period. Brew the Major Dickinson's blend in a drip machine with a paper filter. You get the full flavor, none of the cholesterol concern from unfiltered coffee, and a cup that a food critic called the best decaf in America. That sounds like a good morning. Illy earns its premium price with something most brands in its tier never bother to do. As part of their ISO 9001 certification, Illy tests every coffee lot for pesticide residue, 36 types, and doesn't purchase any beans with detectable residue. That's not a marketing claim. It's a documented quality standard with external certification behind it. Single origin Arabica from Ethiopia, Brazil, Colombia, Costa Rica, Guatemala, and India. It's readily available at Whole Foods, Target, and specialty grocery stores in that sophisticated stainless steel can. The espresso is the reason most people discover it. The testing standard is the reason to keep enjoying it. Pull a double shot of Illy espresso and drink it the way it was designed to be drunk, standing at the counter like an Italian, and be present before the day starts. No phone, just the cup. That's what this brand was built around, and it still works. Most coffee brands ask you to trust the label. LifeBoost asks you to read the lab results because they publish them. Every batch is USDA certified organic, third-party tested for mycotoxins, heavy metals, pesticides, and over 400 other contaminants. Single origin, shade grown at high altitude in Central America. The decaf uses the same Swiss water process as Peet's. Low acid, smooth finish. Recommended by gastroenterologists for sensitive stomachs. It's available on Amazon, Walmart, and Target for about $30 for a 12-ounce bag, which sounds expensive until you remember what you're paying for. If you've been avoiding coffee because of acid reflux or a sensitive stomach, try LifeBoost's low-acid formula for 2 weeks before you give up on coffee entirely. The acidity in most commercial coffee is a sourcing and roasting problem, not an inherent property of the bean. Good coffee from a high altitude, roasted correctly, doesn't punish your stomach. It rewards your morning. Purity Coffee is our #1 because yes, it's good. A 4.9 star rating from over 33,000 reviewers. Isn't a health supplement getting charity stars? It's people who actually enjoy drinking it coming back to say so. That matters because everything else on this list could be the cleanest coffee on earth and it still wouldn't be worth drinking if it tasted like medicine. Purity tastes like the reason you started drinking coffee in the first place. Here's what's behind the cup. USDA Certified Organic. Specialty grade, a designation fewer than 1% of coffee worldwide achieves. Third-party tested for mycotoxins, acrylamide, heavy metals, and pesticides with every result published. It's roasted specifically to minimize acrylamide and has twice the antioxidants of conventional brands. Dermatologists, gastroenterologists, and oncologists recommend it, not because they were asked to, but because when they looked at the documentation, it held up. You can find it on Amazon or puritycoffee.com for about $28. The brands that cost less, tested less, and sourced less carefully. Purity charges what the real thing costs. And unlike every brand on the villain list, they'll show you exactly what you're paying for. Order the bag. When it arrives, open it. Smell it. Real coffee roasted recently smells like fruit, chocolate, earth, the location it came from. Then brew it however you brew. You won't need to add anything to it. That's the tell. Real coffee doesn't need to be fixed. It just needs to be made. You may have your favorites on the villain list. Folgers because your parents drank it. The K-Cup because the morning is already complicated enough. The Starbucks bag because it feels premium. The Black Rifle can because the cause felt worth supporting. Those choices were yours. What wasn't yours was the information to make them, and the brands on that list made sure of it. The 4 brands on the clean list made a different decision. They tested, they published, they sourced at altitude, they charged more because the honest version costs more to make. Every one of them is available right now on Amazon, at Walmart, at Target, at Whole Foods, 2 feet from the brands that have been hoping you'd never look this closely. Coffee is still one of the best parts of the morning. It should taste like something worth waking up for. Comment B2E if you made it to the end. Subscribe to support us, and check out the grocery store cheat sheet in the description. It's everything we expose on this channel in one printable guide. Thanks for watching.